Hey everyone, I think I got a cool one to show you today that helps to bridge that gap between comfort and function on your carrier. Today we'll be looking at the FNMC Universal Cummerbund Kit by Arbor Arms. And it's definitely the most comfortable one I've worn yet, so let's get to it. So straight out the gate, some of you may be wondering why the heck you'd want to upgrade your cummerbund. And I'll tell you, the cummerbund is really at the heart of meeting all your mission needs on your carrier, while also being that factor for overall carrier comfort. But there's really two camps when it comes to cummerbund structure choice. The first group are the folks that love the super rigid cummerbunds, like the Crye structural cummerbund. This allows you to load up your cummerbund with an unbelievable amount of gear and whatnots without it sagging or the carrier now not fitting correctly. But that style of structural cummerbund comes with some negatives. No leeway means no leeway. If you need to just take off running or do something where you need to expand your chest or take some deep breaths, it just absolutely crushes you. And cummerbunds in that structural style really have to be joined with a product like the Ergo to give you some sort of chest expansion to breathe in. But not all carriers work with that Ergo, so there's some challenges there. And then there's the other side, which is the more civilian side and a little more in the realm that I operate in, where we don't necessarily want these super rigid cummerbunds and instead prefer the actual elastic style cummerbunds. The elastic style offers significantly more comfort, as the cummerbund itself can easily expand as you need to take larger breaths. This style never tightens too much, nor is it ever really too loose, and provides a secure fit no matter what you're really doing. But the elastic cummerbund choice also has some negatives, as you can't really put a ton of stuff on your cummerbund, as the whole setup just starts to sag and droop if it's got an absolute ton of gear on it. The guys that load up their cummerbund with an absolute ton of stuff really dislike the elastic style, and the other camp that doesn't load up their cummerbund like a wizard, namely me, don't enjoy those super structural and rigid cummerbunds because they can get super uncomfortable. Now, there are also hybrid cummerbunds with elastic sections and Molle sections, like the Olight K19 and the Defense Mechanisms hybrid cummerbund. And I tend to like these hybrid ones the best, but input from the structural camp is, well, they still hate it. Rigidity is just absolutely king to them. So this was my long-winded way of introducing you to the FNMC kit by Arbor Arms. So, what the heck is it? The FNMC kit is a replacement cummerbund that is extremely similar to the Crye structural cummerbund, but takes the other approach of making it entirely elastic instead of entirely structural. The cummerbund uses 3 bands of elastic that are connected together in a segment on the rear. And I think I have a way that they could improve this product where even the structural guys would love it. We'll get to that though. Each elastic segment is designed in a way that it also functions the same as the Crye cummerbund, with Molle sections all the way down. At the front of the cummerbund, you can choose whichever QD works best for you when you go to purchase this cummerbund. I did the Tactic QD as it offers a really simple way of just pulling back on the QD to release instead of going up and down like the first spear tubes do. Again, this is just personal preference. They also do have the first spear tubes because I really like those too. And there's a bunch of other different styles of QDs if you want to try those out. The cummerbund connection is similar to the Crye structural cummerbund, but also done in a less frustrating way. You take the 2 ends and overlap them so that left and right side lay atop of one another. And then you connect the Molle sections to one another using the included retention tabs. One thing really nice that I was actually going to mark as a con is that they actually lock in position in the top and bottom when you actually put them in place also. Now, for some carriers like the Defense Mechanisms MEPC or other slick carriers, this would be harder to do since there's no Molle to connect into. In this situation, you can use the scarab adapter from Arbor Arms to give the Velcro section a place for the Molle to connect and secure into. And I found some loops of Velcro one wrap work really well too if you want to integrate this, allowing you to easily replace a structural style cummerbund for an elastic style, but still have those Molle to connect bits into. The FNMC Cummerbund kit is perfect for that elastic cummerbund crowd that isn't looking to put like a regiment of required crap all on their cummerbund. Those that need all that junk though, yeah, structural's the way to go. I ended up replacing the cummerbund on my HRT RAC with the Arbor Arms FNMC kit and found that it was significantly more comfortable, and the QD makes the carrier overall easier to use and easier to adjust. I didn't have the QD cummerbund on that setup previously, so this is a nice improvement along with the massive increase in comfort that comes thanks to the elastic Molle. And it does give up the ability to just go absolutely crazy on your cummerbund, but I think it could become the de facto cummerbund answer with one small change. I jokingly say small as this would likely be a challenge, but if the elastic Molle segments were connected at each Molle interval with small bits of Tegris, the cummerbund could support significantly more weight. And that Tegris is already super lightweight, so you wouldn't have to worry about any extra added weight, and I don't think it would affect comfort in any way as long as that Tegris was placed in between the different segments of the elastic. And that would really start to bridge the gap between those two different cummerbund styles. Maybe anyway, I don't know, I'd have to see it. But let's do some pros, cons, and if I recommend it. So the first pro, it's insanely comfortable. As the cummerbund fits around you and forms to your body, you can drastically increase the overall comfort of your plate carrier by switching to the style of cummerbund. And yes, you can add this to the K19 to make it basically like a plate carrier pillow, but it doesn't work perfectly without you having to mess with it a little bit. So the next big pro, you can upgrade pretty much any carrier you own. If you have an older style carrier or a cummerbund style you just don't love, it's easy to swap it out while still maintaining your Molle style connection points. The scarab adapter even works well on those slick carriers, and I found it worked almost perfectly on the Defense Mechanisms MEPC, since the rear flap covers that entire cummerbund area. And I know you structural cummerbund guys are biting at the heels for this one, so we'll do some cons. And the first one that I know you all are going to say, yeah, you can't really load it up. Adding significant weight to this cummerbund would cause it to droop and not hold as tightly to your body as the structural cummerbund would. So having the Molle sections are a tad odd, as if you really use them, you'd likely overload performance of the actual elastic. And hilariously, as my last main con, I was worried these clips would actually pop off because they wouldn't be able to lock in place, but it's kind of turned into a pro because it's really easy to actually slide these into place, lock them between the two different edges and sides of the cummerbund into the correct Molle position, and then just lock the tab in place. And then you don't have to worry about it popping off or anything, or just sliding off when you're bouncing around, even if you have that cummerbund section exposed. So then, do I recommend it? Tricky one, but if you're like me with a fairly blank cummerbund, then yes, I do. But if you're using every available space on your cummerbund due to unit or regulation requirements, then no, I don't know if this would really work well for you. And maybe one day they'll add that Tegris I mentioned to add some of that rigidity to hold more items while still letting the elastic form around you comfortably, and solve this whole structural versus elastic cummerbund debate once and for all. Well, I hope this review of the Arbor Arms FNMC Cummerbund kit was helpful in your purchasing decisions. I want to say thanks to all of our Patreon supporters. You're the ones that always make all this cool stuff possible, and you're absolutely amazing. And I want to say thanks to everyone that likes, comments, and subscribes. Comment down below what kit you'd put on this FNMC Cummerbund kit. All right, everyone, Walsh out. Whoa, what do you mean it comes in a maritime kit so you can ditch it in the water? These guys in the comments section always say they swim in their plate carriers.